Hello everybody, I am Akshay Deshpande and welcome to CT Sankalp. Today we will be going with a completely new chapter, that is respiration in the plants. And again, this chapter is somewhat important for your CET examinations and also your NEET examination, because around at least one question you will expect in your CET examination, and around 2 questions, or at the maximum we can say around 3 questions you can expect in your NEET examinations, right? Yeah. So the most speciality about this chapter is that till now whatever we have discussed in the case of plant physiology, okay, especially in the context of the photosynthesis, okay, where if you consider photosynthesis, ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ನೀವು ಆ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ನ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೇನು ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ತ್ವಿ, that light energy is mainly invested, and there are some structures such as the chloroplast, and the chloroplast is mainly involved in the photosynthesis by capturing the light energy to produce the food molecules, right? So whatever the food molecules are actually produced in the photosynthesis, they are actually oxidized, right? And these oxidation reactions, or after the oxidation you will actually get the energy. Okay, and the energy what we are speaking of is mainly an cellular currency called as the ATP, and this ATP is actually utilized for the cellular work. This is how the things work. Okay, so ನಮಗೆ ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಫುಡ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ ನ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ಆ ಫುಡ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ ನ ಏನೇನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ, they are basically broken down. Okay, they are broken down to release some energy, and this releasing of energy requires oxygen. Okay, hence we call it as respiration. Respiration, in the sense we can use more specific term over here. Respiration antandre we can use another specific term over here. It can be called as cellular. Okay, the more appropriate term for this is the cellular respiration, right? So this is another important chapter from your plant physiology, as I mentioned, and like photosynthesis, this is also somewhat biochemistry based chapter. Okay, yeah, so let's start then. Now we all know that in the case of plants, which part that is mainly involved in the production of food, it is mainly the green colored parts. Okay, we all know where do we find the green colored parts. The green colored parts are mainly found in the leaves, right? ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಗಿಡದ ಎಲೆಗಳು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಕಲರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, and the green colored parts of the leaves are mainly involved in production of food, right? And the production of food, by the term we are mainly referring to the sucrose, right? And this sucrose is actually converted into what we call the glucose, and the glucose is mainly converted and stored in the form of starch, right? We know this is how actually occurs in the case of plants, right? So plants nalli enagatte, plants have the ability to produce their own food, but in the case of animals, animals are completely heterotrophic. Remember this, animals, okay, animals are heterotrophs, right? They cannot produce their own food molecules, but instead they are actually dependent on plants only. Okay, so we are having herbivores. Herbivores are the organisms which mainly feed on the plants, right? So later there are carnivores. Carnivores are the organisms which mainly feed on these herbivores, right? Based on these, we can say that ultimately all the energy on this biosphere, on the earth, is basically derived from the plants. That is, we call them as producers, right? So coming back to the point that the green parts of the plants are mainly involved in the production of food, right? But however, there's also an important challenge over here. Green parts of the plant ನಮಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ, ಫುಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ, ಆದರೆ what about the non-green parts of the plant? So obviously the non-green parts of the plant require food, right? And the non-green parts get the food, they mainly get the food from the green parts, right? So we can say that from the green parts, from the right, green parts, right, the food is basically transported. Food is transported, or also called as the translocated, to which part of the plant body? Non-green part. Okay, non green part of the plant body ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ mainly food materials transport ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, right? So in the non-green part of the plant body ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, this food is actually invested, it undergoes the oxidation process to give us the energy molecules, right? So but in the case of animals, as we mentioned, animals are mainly heterotrophic, right? And fungi, we know that they are saprophytic. Now what do we mean by saprophytic? Saprophytic are the organisms which mainly feed on dead and decaying organisms. The animals which feed on the dead and decaying organisms are called as saprophytic, and fungi are very good example for that. So we can say that ultimately that animals are heterotrophic, which means that they derive the nutrition by consuming other organisms, or in the case of herbivores, plants, and if they are carnivores, by mainly consuming other animals, right? And the fungi mainly derive their energy by feeding on the dead and decaying organisms. So now we can say that ultimately all the food that is respired or consumed is mainly coming from the photosynthesis. Ultimately all the food, all the energy that is what we are looking in the biosphere is mainly coming from the photosynthesis. So now this mechanism, what we call as breaking down the food to release the cellular energy, that is called as the ATP, is referred as the cellular respiration. Andre food molecules na ನಾವು break down ಮಾಡಿ ಏನು ATP ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೇನಂತ ರೆಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, it is called as the cellular respiration. Okay, and generally the compounds that are used for the oxidation process or breaking down to produce the ATP are called as the respiratory substrates ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ರೆಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. Similarly, remember, always the energy is released in a stepwise process. Okay, it is never in a single go ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದೇ ಸಲ ಒಂದು ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ನ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎನರ್ಜಿನ ಒಂದೇ ಸಲ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ ಹೋಗಬೇಡಿ, ಎಂದು ಹಂಗೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ಆ ಥರ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ನ ಒಂದೇ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಎನರ್ಜಿನ ಒಂದೇ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಇಷ್ಟು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಇರ್ತದಲ್ಲ, ದ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಚ್ ಅನ್ ಹ್ಯೂಜ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ದಟ್ cells cannot absorb it or cells cannot keep it properly. Okay, and instead it will be a trouble to the cell. Okay, so as a result what happens is the cells basically break these molecules, that is the respiratory substrates, in a stepwise manner. Okay, stepwise ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದೇ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಇರಬೇಕಂತಲ್ಲ, multiple steps ಇರ್ತದೆ generally. Okay, that is an important principle of these reactions. Now the thing is, do plants actually breathe? Do plants actually breathe ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ತರ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? ಸೊ do plants actually have any respiratory structures? Okay, plants ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಟರಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತದ? ಬಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ಲಿ you don't find no. Okay, there are no special respiratory structures, okay, for the gaseous exchange, then how can plant actually meet the demand for the gases? Okay, so interestingly, in the case of plants there is no such major gas demand. Plants nalli major gas demand agodane illa. Okay, hagagi plant body eshte dodadirli, even if it's a small plant or it's a big huge tree, bulky tree idru kudanu, you see that there is no major challenge for meeting the respiratory gases or exchange of gases ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಭಾಳ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ interestingly you see that in the case of plants, each part of the plant body can take care of its own gas demand, respiratory gas demand. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಅದು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಭಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ, ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ತಮಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೇಕೋ, ಎಷ್ಟು ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ತಮಗೆ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೇಕೋ, ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಟರಿ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೇಕೋ, ಅದನ್ನು ತನ್ನ ಪಡಿಗೆ ತಾನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಈಚ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಆಫ್ ಈಚ್ ಅದರ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಟರಿ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ಸ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ you see that there is no major, what we can say, the distance between the gas diffusion in the plants is not large. Okay, so we say that diffusion actually is good for short distances. Okay, so hagagi even in the case of plants, diffusion is the best way for the exchange of gases, right? And you also know that in the case of plants, for diffusion of gases there are specialized structures called as the lenticels, and also we are having one more called as the stomata, right? We know this. So stomata and the lenticels are the two structures. Lenticels are the structures which are mainly present at the stem. These are small openings. ಈ ಓಪನಿಂಗ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಗ್ಯಾಸಸ್ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲೀಫ್ ಅಂತೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಲೀಫ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಥರ ಓಪನಿಂಗ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಲೀಫ್. ಓಕೆ, ಟಾಲಿ ಸೈಡು, ಓಕೆ, ಈ ಥರ ಸ್ಪಾಂಜಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ, ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ mentioned over here. So ಹಾಗಾಗಿ the gas diffusion distance is also not large. Okay, and gas diffusion distance is not large because the cells are close. Okay, closely packed cells are close together. And also, though the cells are actually closely packed together, you also see that there is a sufficient intercellular spaces. Intercellular spaces. For example, if you consider the stem, okay, if you consider the stem, you can see that the center part of the stem is actually dead. Okay, and the main function of this particular center part of the stem is mainly involved in the structural support ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇರೋದು. Structural support, right? But whereas the stem ಅದು ಪೆರಿಫೆರಿಗೆ, ಓಕೆ, ಪೆರಿಫೆರಿ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂಥ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಸರ್ಫೇಸ್. They are in contact with the surface. So as they are in contact with the surface, what happens? There can be exchange of gases. Okay, so cells are actually packed. Though their cells are actually packed, you find the intracellular spaces between the cells. As a result, through lenticels, what we can see, there will be exchange of gases. And similarly, in the case of leaves, you find dedicated structures called as the stomata, through which there is diffusion of gases. Okay, so we can say that in the case of plant, there is no much challenge for the excretory structures. And also, if you consider some other structures in the case of, for example, leaf na consider madri. Okay, and you can consider the root. Okay, the rate of respiration is very less. The rate of respiration is also very less. Okay, so the rate of respiration is very less. We can say that each part of the plant body can take care of its own respiratory demand, gas demand. And also the distance between the cells that is meant for exchange of gases is also very less. Okay, and you also find there is a sufficient intercellular spaces. And most of the central part of the stem is completely dead. So the cells which are present at the periphery part of the stem are loosely, and though they are densely packed, you find still some spaces, intercellular spaces, and that intercellular spaces can sufficiently provide the exchange of gases. As a result, we can say that there is no requirement of special structures in the case of plants for the respiratory exchange of gases, or exchange of gases in simple terms. Now we are having a simple equation for the respiration, metabolic respiration. Okay, so if you look over here, this is actually the glucose. Okay, now glucose plus oxygen, okay, we will get what? Carbon dioxide, water, and also energy. Okay, this is an empirical equation for the combustion of glucose to give us the energy. Okay, remember the energy is always produced in the form of ATP, which we call it as the cellular currency of the cell. This is called as the cellular currency of cell, or cellular currency. Yeah, we can just say cellular currency, right? So this is the empirical formula that actually tells us how the energy is, chemical energy is actually released by breaking down of the glucose, right? And this breakdown of glucose to give us the energy, and in this process oxygen is consumed, hence we call it as respiration, or also called as the cellular respiration. So now, based upon the first living organisms that actually were formed on the earth, we say that they were completely aerobes. Okay, aerobes antandre, aerobes are the organisms which don't require oxygen. The organisms which do not require oxygen for the metabolism purpose, we call them as anaerobes. We call them as what? Anaerobes. So probably the first living organism that actually came into existence, ಭೂಮಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಮೊದಲು ಯಾವ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಹುಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ we say that it is anaerobes. Okay, anaerobe speciality ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ for metabolism purpose they don't require any kind of oxygen. So this is quite very unique. ಯಾಕೆ ಮೊದಲು ಆ್ಯನರೋಬ್ಸೇ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಬಂದ್ವು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಅರ್ತ್, ಅರ್ಲಿಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅರ್ತ್ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ದೇರ್ ವಾಸ್ ನೋ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್. ಸೊ ವಿ ಸೇ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಅರ್ತ್, ಓಕೆ, ದೇರ್ ವಾಸ್ ನೋ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್, ಓಕೆ, ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಇರಲಾರ್ದೇನೆ ಮೆಟಬಾಲಿಸಮ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಇರೋದಂತ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ನಾವೇನಂತ ರೆಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ದೆಮ್ ಆಸ್ ದಿ anaerobes, right? So in the case of anaerobes you find two types, that is the facultative anaerobes and obligate anaerobes. Facultative anaerobes ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಇದ್ರ they are happy, they can do the metabolism. Even if oxygen is not present, fine, they can still survive in an oxygen deficient ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಡಿಫಿಷಿಯೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಇರಲಾರ್ದಂಥ ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಾವೇನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಡಿಫಿಷಿಯೆಂಟ್ ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ facultative anaerobes are not strict anaerobes. They can survive even in the presence and also even in the absence of oxygen, right? But whereas obligate anaerobes antandre, they are strictly anaerobes. They don't like to live in an environment of oxygen. Oxygen iro anta environment nalli irlikke istapadodilla. Okay, so this is called as, such organisms are called as the obligate anaerobes. Okay, now and interestingly the main pathway that is involved in the metabolism is called as the glucose metabolism, and the breakdown of glucose into pyruvic acid is called as the glycolysis. Okay, which we will be looking into the reactions shortly. So these organisms andre anaerobes agirli, aerobes agirli, okay, ಯಾವುದೇ ತರದ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ ಇರಲಿ, ultimately the energy is mainly derived by breaking down of glucose into pyruvic acid, and the pyruvic acid will undergo the further step of reactions. Okay, that we'll be looking into. So this process of breaking down glucose into the pyruvic acid is called as the glycolysis. And we are actually having other terms also. If you have to remember, there are other terms also: gluconeogenesis, glycogenolysis, and glycogenesis. Okay, these are three other terms along with the glycolysis that you have to remember. Anyway, but however, for our discussion, the most concerned term is the glycolysis. Remember, breaking down of glucose into pyruvic acid is called as the glycolysis. Now, the glycolysis is we refer it as the splitting of the sugar, as we all know. Okay, means breaking down of glucose. Hence, it is called as the glycolysis. It is also called as the EMP pathway because it is named after the scientists who described it for the first time. Okay, Emden, Mayerhof, and Parnas. Okay, the three scientists called as the Emden, E-M-B-D-E-N, Emden, Mayerhof, and Parnas, J. Parnas, what we call, right? So these three people were the first time who described it. Hence, it is also, you know, we honor them by calling the glycolysis also called as the EMP pathway. Remember this. So now we can look into the steps of the glycolysis. Now remember, there are some important things that you have to remember. Glycolysis is actually a 10-step reaction. It is a 10-step reaction, and this 10-step reaction actually occurs in the cytoplasm. It actually occurs in the cytoplasm. Hence, the enzymes that are actually required for the glycolysis are present in the cytoplasm itself. Okay, so in the case of plants, the starting material is actually sucrose. Okay, it's actually what? Sucrose, and we are having an enzyme called as invertase. An enzyme called as the invertase, and invertase is mainly involved in converting the sucrose into glucose and the fructose. Okay, so basically these glucose and fructose will enter into the glycolysis. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಸುಕ್ರೋಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಇನ್ ದ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸು. ಈ ಸುಕ್ರೋಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇಂಟು ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್, ಓಕೆ, ಬೈ ಅನ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದಿ ಇನ್ವರ್ಟೇಸ್. And glucose or fructose ಮುಂದೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, in the case of plant body it enters into glycolysis. But in the case of animal cells, the thing is very simple. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ major of the diet in the case of we see in the case of humans ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ನಾನು ಮತ್ತೆ. In the case of humans, major of the diet is generally carbohydrates. So as a result, carbohydrate ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, generally in the form of what we can say complex starch ಅಥವಾ complex carbohydrates. And complex carbohydrates are generally made up of repeating units of the glucose only. So after digestion, what we get directly the glucose, and the glucose will directly enter into the glycolysis pathway, right? So with this basic introduction, we can look into the steps over here. The first we can say it is the glucose, right? So glucose is actually converted into the glucose 6-phosphate. Glucose 6-phosphate. Now what do we mean by the term glucose 6-phosphate? It means that the sixth carbon of the glucose is having a phosphate molecule attached. Andre glucose in ಆರನೇ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ಗೆ ಆರನೇ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಆರನೇ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಗೆ ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ದಿ ಸಿಕ್ಸ್ತ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್, ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ we have to use some molecule to get the phosphate from, right? And that molecule we are getting the phosphate from is the ATP. ATP ನಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ನಾಗಿಂದು ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ನ ತೆಗೆದು ನಾವ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ATP mainly stands for what? Adenosine triphosphate. It mainly means adenosine triphosphate. ಸೊ ಟ್ರೈಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೂರು ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ನಾಗಿಂದು ಒಂದು ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ತೆಗೆದು ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಉಳಿಕಿದ ಎಷ್ಟು ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಉಳಿತು, ADP ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ವಿಚ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಅಡೆನೋಸಿನ್ ಡೈಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್, ಎರಡು ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಉಳಿದಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಹೌದಾ? ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ಲಿ ದಿಸ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ catalyzed by an enzyme called as the hexokinase, HEXOKINASE. Remember, if you are encountering the term kinase are the special group of enzymes which mainly transfer the phosphate group from one molecule to another molecule, and generally for that ATP is required. The general thumb rule what we call, right? So glucose to glucose 6-phosphate ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, and here glucose 6-phosphate ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಮುಂದೆ ನಮಗೆ fructose 6-phosphate ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಹೌದಾ? So here there may be another substitute for this. Glucose ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, glucose 6-phosphate ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Again it is done by an isomerase enzyme only, okay? Isomerase ಅಂತ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬರುತ್ತೆ enzyme. I will not go into much details of this, but remember it is isomerase. ಓಕೆ, ಐಸೋಮರೇಸ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ 6-phosphate ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್ 6-phosphate ಆಗಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಆಗ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ ದ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಓಕೆ? ಸೊ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಟು ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ 6-phosphate, ಫ್ರಮ್ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ 6-phosphate ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್ 6-phosphate. ಬಟ್ ವೇರ್ ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಮಗೆ ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್ 6-phosphate ಆಗಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಬೈ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್, ರೈಟ್? And again you require an ATP for this, ATP, okay, to ADP. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ATP ನಾಗಿಂದು ಒಂದು ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ತೆಗೆದು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸಿನ 6th ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ಗೆ ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, and this reaction is done by again hexokinase, right? So glucose 6-phosphate to fructose 6-phosphate ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಐಸೋಮರೇಸ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಬೇಕು, ಆದ್ರೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್ ಟು ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್ 6-phosphate ಆಗಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಕೈನೇಸ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಅಗೇನ್ an ATP is used. See, ultimately this is a very interesting reaction. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಗ್ಲೈಕಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನು, ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ATP ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇ, that is the main agenda of the glycolysis. But however, for generation of ATP, production of energy, we have to invest some energy initially. Okay, so if you look over here, this is the first phase of the reaction. Now discuss ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಏನು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಲ್ಲ, this is called as the first phase of reaction. It is called as what? The first phase of reaction ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಜನರಲಿ ATPs are invested. ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, in the initial first phase reaction, investment reaction ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ. ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ because we are investing the ATP, right? So now let us move on to the next set of reaction. From fructose 6-phosphate, what happens? We are getting one more molecule called as the fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Okay, so 1,6-bisphosphate ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ 6th carbon ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತೂ ಒಂದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ದಟ್ ಈವನ್ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಕೂಡ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ ನಮಗೆ ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು? ಅಗೇನ್ ATP ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡೆಡ್. ATP ನಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತ ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ನ ತೆಗೆದು ನಾವು ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಗೆ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಅಗೇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಮೀಡಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಎನ್ ಎನ್ಸೈಮ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದಿ PFK ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, PFK ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಫಾಸ್ಫೋಫ್ರಕ್ಟೋಕೈನೇಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ನಾವು fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is now splitting down into 3 carbon products. Okay, 3 ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು 2 ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ ನಮಗೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದ ಗ್ಲಿಸರಾಲ್ಡಿಹೈಡ್ 3-phosphate. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ PGAL. ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಡಾರ್ಕ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಇದನ್ನ. ಓಕೆ, ಗ್ಲಿಸರಾಲ್ಡಿಹೈಡ್ 3-phosphate ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದ PGAL ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ. Okay, and another one we are having is the triose phosphate, or also called as the dihydroxyacetone phosphate anta karitivi. But if you look into this this reaction, this step, it is an interconvertible step anta karitivi. What do you mean by interconvertible step? It means that we can convert this dihydroxyacetone back to triose yadu glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, also called as triose phosphate only, same as this, right? So which means that by the end of this how many glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate we are getting? Andre dihydroxyacetone na ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ ವಾಪಸ್ಸು glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ how many glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate we are getting? We are actually getting 2 PGAL. Okay, that is the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, right? So we will So now onwards, we can say that, from now onwards, we can say that there are the same set of reactions. ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗ್ಲಿಸರಾಲ್ಡಿಹೈಡ್ 3-phosphate ಏನಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಒಂದು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ ಬರೋದು ಒಂದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫ್ರುಕ್ಟೋಸ್ 1,6-bisphosphate ಸ್ಪ್ಲಿಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಗ್ಲಿಸರಾಲ್ಡಿಹೈಡ್ 3-phosphate ಅಂತೂ ಬಂದೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡೈಹೈಡ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಅಸಿಟೋನ್ ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ವಿ ನೋ ದಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಟು PGAL. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ one PGAL, but apart from that we are getting one more PGAL by converting the dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Okay, so hence we consider that we are having 2 PGAL molecules, right? So from this what we can do, we can now go on with the reactions, right? So ಈಗ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ PGAL glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate in consider ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಲ್ಲ, ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ರೌಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ದಿಸ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ PGAL is derived from the dihydroxyacetone. So you have to remember this. Okay, so ultimately ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನೇನು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಬರ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ, it should be multiplied. It is always 2 or multiplied with 2. Okay, yes. So we can look over here. ನಾವು ಗ್ಲಿಸರಾಲ್ಡಿಹೈಡ್ 3-phosphate ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದಿ 1,3-bisphosphoglyceric acid ಅಥವಾ 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಅಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಮೇಜರ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಿ NAD ಪ್ಲಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೈಸ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್, ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ನಿಕೋಟಿನಮೈಡ್ ಡೈನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯೋಟೈಡ್. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಟು ವಿಚ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದಿ NADH2 ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಕೋಟಿನಮೈಡ್ ಡೈನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯೋಟೈಡ್ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್. ಓಕೆ, NADH2 H ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬರೆದ್ರು ಒಂದೇ ಮೀನಿಂಗು. ಓಕೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ಈವನ್ NADH2 ಅಂತ ಬರೆದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದೇ ಅರ್ಥ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಎಸ್, ಸೊ ದಿ NAD ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇಸ್ reduced to the NADH2, right? Now, and from the 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate what happens? We are getting 3-phosphoglyceric acid. If you observe over here, ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನಮಗೆ 1,3-bisphosphoglyceric acid ಇಂದ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ನಮಗೆ 1,3-bisphosphoglyceric acid ಇಂದ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದ್ವಿ ನಾವು? 3-phosphoglyceric acid ಗೆ ಬಂದ್ವಿ, ಹೌದಾ? ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ರಿಮೂವ್ಡ್ 1 phosphate molecule ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್ ಗ್ಲಿಸರಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಗ್ಲಿಸರಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್ ಇಂದ ತೆಗೆದು ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ? ಅಲ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಲುಕ್ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ADP ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ? ATP ಬಂತು. ಓಕೆ, ವಿ ಗಾಟ್ ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ATPs? Sorry, so what we got, what is the product over here? We got ATP. Okay, so this kind of reaction, ಯಾವ ತರ reaction where the phosphate is removed from a substrate and given to ADP to form ATP. This set of reaction, phosphate molecule is actually removed from the substrate and given to ADP to form the ATP, is called as a substrate level phosphorylation, is called as the substrate level phosphorylation. Right? Remember this. ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ನ ತೆಗೆದು ನಾವು ADP ಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ATP ತಯಾರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. So this kind of reaction is called as the substrate level phosphorylation. Right? So now from the 3 phosphoglyceric acid we are getting the 2 phosphoglyceric acid ಅಥವಾ 2 phosphoglycerate. ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದೇ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಅದು. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಇರುವಂತ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನಿಗೆ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ತೆಗೆದು ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಗ್ಲಿಸರಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆರ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ATP, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್ the next step of the reaction is from 2 phosphoglycerate we are getting 2 phosphoglycerate we are getting the phosphoenol pyruvate. From phosphoenol pyruvate we are getting pyruvic acid, and interestingly you can see over here this phosphate molecule is removed and given to the ADP and we are getting ATP, right? So we can say that ultimately we got one more ATP at the last step of reaction of the glycolysis. Okay, again the ATP what we are getting over here is mainly the substrate level phosphorylation antane ನಾವು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. Right? So these are mainly the important steps of the glycolysis. You have to go through all the steps and remember all the steps. Okay. So now if we try to calculate the net ATP that we are getting over here. Okay. So let us calculate the net ATP. Okay. Let us calculate the net ATP. See, remember from one glucose molecule, okay, split agi namge ee reaction nenapitkolli. You have to consider these reactions, right? We have mentioned over here. We have to remember these reactions, right? So the one glucose molecule actually splits down into 2 PGAL, okay, PGAL, right? This PGAL we are getting because the dihydroxyacetone phosphate can be converted back to PGAL. Remember, look into this step of the reaction, right? ಒಂದಂತೂ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ PGAL ಅಂತೂ ಬಂದೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು PGL ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಡೈಹೈಡ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಯಾಸಿಟೋನ್ ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ PGAL ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್ PGAL ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ 1 pyruvic acid, ಹೌದಾ? ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ 1 pyruvic acid, and from this PGAL we are getting 1 pyruvic acid, ಹೌದಾ? ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು PGAL ಇಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಪೈರುವಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್ ತನಕ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು NADH2 ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ ಬಂತು and ಎಷ್ಟು ATP ಬಂತು? We got 2 ATP. I will just do one thing. I will just erase this once again. Okay. So from 1 glucose, we'll just write it once again. 1 glucose, we got 2 PGAL, and we got 1 pyruvic acid or pyruvate, both mean the same. 1 pyruvic acid, right? And this so totally how many pyruvic acid we are getting? 2 pyruvic acid or pyruvate, both mean the same, right? So here we get 1 NADH2. Similarly we are getting 1 NADH2. And how many ATPs we got here? 2 ATPs. Similarly 2 ATPs, right? Look over here, right? They have already multiplied it here with the 2. Don't get confused. Okay. Yes. So we can say that ultimately 4 ATP and 2 NaDH2. Remember this. You have to remember this. You have to remember this, right? Yeah. So ultimately we got 4 ATP and 2 NaDH2 and 2 pyruvic acid. But remember, in the starting of the reactions, we have invested 2 ATP. Starting of the reactions ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ATP ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿವಿ? 2 ATP ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ 4 ಒಳಗಡೆ 2 ATP ಮೈನಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೆಟ್ ATP ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಂತು ನಮಗೆ? We got only 2 direct ATP. So we can say that this is the net direct ATP we get. Right? So your answer, if they ask you the net ATP, you should write it 2. Okay, we will discuss this part once again. In some cases, you can see a question where from the glycolysis, what is the number of net ATP? Generally, in some textbooks, the key answer what they give is 8. 8. Okay, the answer is 8 ಅಂತ ಕೆಲವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Okay, 8 ಅಂತ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ ಅದು? When can we consider 8? When can we consider 8 as the net ATP? ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ net ATP 8 ಅಂತ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಈ NaDH2 ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. NaDH2 ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಒಂದು NaDH2 ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಅಸ್ 3 ATP. ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಹಂಗಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು NaDH2 ಇದೆ? ನಮಗೆ 2 NaDH2 ಇದೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಇಂಟು 2 ಮಾಡಿ. ಸೊ 3 × 2 ಎಷ್ಟಾಯ್ತು ನಮಗೆ? 6 ATP ಆಯಿತು. ಹೌದಾ? 6 ATP ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ATP ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಂತಪ್ಪ ನಮಗೆ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಬಂತು. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನು ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಆನ್ಸರು ನಮಗೆ 8 ATP ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ರು ಹೀಗೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಬಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ATP ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲಿಂದ ATP ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಫಾಸ್ಫರಿಲೇಷನಿಂದ ATP ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನೆಟ್ ATP ಇಸ್ 2. ಓಕೆ, ಟೋಟಲ್ 4 ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? 2ನ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಇಸ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ 2. Right? So this is mainly about the glycolysis and the calculation. Okay, so remember we should use this remember over here information. Okay, ಈ information ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. Now, however, there's an interesting case. The fate of the pyruvic acid depends upon whether there is presence of oxygen or not. Okay, if there is oxygen, then it will enter into the aerobic respiration. But however, if there is no oxygen, then it will undergo another fate called as the fermentation. Okay, fermentation ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ breaking down of that is just partial oxidation ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು. partial oxidation. Okay, a partial oxidation of glucose. Okay, partial oxidation of glucose, right? So this occurs actually in the case of bacteria and also mussels, right? So in the case of mussels and bacteria dalli now fermentation aatandre navu enanta karitevi, it is called as lactic acid is produced, and an enzyme is actually playing an important role called as the lactate dehydrogenase. The enzyme that is mainly playing an important role over here is called as the lactate dehydrogenase. Remember this. But however, but in the case of yeast, I will just erase this. In the case of yeast, there is the same reaction. Okay, incomplete or partial oxidation of glucose. Which the products in this case, yeast is what? Ethanol and carbon dioxide. Yeast nalladre ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ? ಮಸಲ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಟಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್. ಆದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಥನಾಲ್. Right? Yes. And in this case, it is the reaction, the enzymes that are actually involved in this reaction is the alcohol dehydrogenase. Alcohol dehydrogenase. And there is also one more enzyme that is mainly playing an important role called as the pyruvic acid decarboxylase. Pyruvic acid decarboxylase. ಹೆಸರು ನೋಡಿ, ಡಿಕಾರ್ಬಾಕ್ಸಿಲೇಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೇನು? ಡಿಕಾರ್ಬಾಕ್ಸಿಲೇಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ನ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್. ಡಿಕಾರ್ಬಾಕ್ಸಿಲೇಸ್, ಡಿ ರಿಮೂವಲ್, ಕಾರ್ಬಾಕ್ಸಿ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್. Right? Yes. So in the case of yeast, it may lead to the formation of carbon dioxide and ethanol, right? But however, again, the percentage of ethanol is also important in the case of yeast survival. Okay, akasmat yeast the percentage ethanol the percentage yeast body alli enadru 13% kinanu hechige ayitu antandre the yeast will die. Okay, due to the alcohol poisoning, what we refer. Right, so here you can see over here glucose, the same chart here we are having the glucose. ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪಾತ್ವೇನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ನಮಗೆ ಫಾಸ್ಫೈನಲ್ ಪೈರುವೇಟ್ ತನಕ ಬಂತು. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ನಮಗೆ ಪೈರುವಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್ ಬಂತು. ಹೌದಾ? ಪೈರುವಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಪಾನ್ ದ ಫೇಟ್, okay, depending upon the presence of oxygen or not. If there is presence of oxygen ittu antandre namge enagutte, it will undergo the aerobic respiration, which is called as the complete oxidation anta karitivi, right? If there is no oxygen left, what happens? In the case of mussels and bacteria, it will undergo the lactic acid fermentation, and in the case of it is in the case of yeast, it will undergo the production alcohol fermentation to give us the ethanol and the carbon dioxide, right? So, but however, there is also an importance of this step. You can see over here that NAD plus is being produced, right? ಅಂದ್ರೆ NADH ಏನಿರ್ತದೆ ಇದು ಮತ್ತೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೈಸ್ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, NAD ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ NAD ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಫ್ ಯು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಅವರ್ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗ್ಲಿಸರಾಲ್ಡಿಹೈಡ್ 3-phosphate. ಓಕೆ, ಗ್ಲಿಸರಾಲ್ಡಿಹೈಡ್ 3-phosphate ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಮುಂದೆ 1,3-bis ಫಾಸ್ಫೋಗ್ಲಿಸರೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಾಯ್ತು, NAD ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ NADH2 ಬಂತು. ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಅ ಸೆಲ್ ದ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ NAD ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್, right? So if all the NAD plus is actually converted into NADH2, what happens is that the glycolysis cannot run. ಮತ್ತೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಗ್ಲೈಕೋಲಿಸಿಸ್ ರನ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನೇ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ NAD ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇರೋದನ್ನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗ್ಲೈಕೋಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಗ್ಲಿಸರಾಲ್ಡಿಹೈಡ್ 3-phosphate ಗೆ ನಿಂತು ಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ NAD ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ, ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿ NADH2 ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಥ್ರೂ ದಿಸ್ fermentation process, what is happening, the NAD plus is again regenerated, and this is used here. If you are observing carefully in the chart, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ reuse ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, it is reused, right? It is reused. So this is the importance of fermentation to some extent. Okay, but aerobic respiration ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ NAD plus ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ through the electron transport chain. ಓಕೆ, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತದಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, NAD ಪ್ಲಸ್ ರೀಜನರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದ್ಯಾಟ್ NAD ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ವಾಪಸ್ಸು ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೀರನ್ ದಿ ಗ್ಲೈಕಾಲಿಸಿಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಲುಕಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದಿ ETS in the upcoming classes. But this is the overall what we can say the fermentation process. So in the case of presence of oxygen, the complete oxidation of the glucose occurs. So now let us look into some important questions over here. So the first question we are having is the end product. Okay, the end product of the fermentation when the sugars are used as a raw material is alcohol and acetic acid, carbon dioxide, alcohol and carbon dioxide, alcohol. You can see the correct answer is alcohol and carbon dioxide. The next step, the next question we are having, the common intermediate source of energy in cellular activity is DNA, ATP, RNA, NAD. It is ATP is the common cellular energy. Now, besides the net gain of ATP, what are the other molecules gained from the glycolysis? What are the other molecules we get to gain from the glycolysis? We gain FADH, NADH, NADPH and NADH2. Sorry, 2 miss agide illi, and FADH2. Okay, the answer is NADH2. Apart from that, we are getting NADH2 also. Now, if oxygen is not present, yeast cells mainly break down the glucose into water and carbon dioxide and lactic acid, ethanol and water, ethanol and carbon dioxide. We know it is what? Ethanol and carbon dioxide. What is which of the following is true regarding the glycolysis? It takes place in the cytosol. It produces no ATP. It has no connection with the electron transport chain. Okay. And it reduces 2 molecules of NAD plus for every glucose consumed. So which of the following statements are true? It takes place in cytosol, and the fourth statement reduces the NAD plus for every 2 NAD plus for every glucose molecule consumed. So hence we can say that 1 and 4 are the right statements over here. Now moving on. Okay, now here we have a interesting question. That is, how many PGAL are produced by the glycolysis of 3 glucose molecules? How many ATP are released by respiration of these PGAL till the formation of CO2 and H2O, right? So here we need to consider that we know around 1 glucose will give us 2 PgAl, right? So what we can do is that from 3 glucose multiplied 3 into 2, we get it is 6 PgAl, right? But what about the number of ATPs? You have to consider that. Okay, so based on this, we are having two options, that is B option and D option, that is 6 PgAl as our answers, right? But we don't know what is the number of ATPs. Either it should be 120 or 200. So what we will do is we will solve this question in the next class. Meanwhile, you can take this question as a homework. Okay, this question is a homework, right? So why don't you people solve this question over here? Right, don't worry, I will solve this question once again in our next class when we will discuss the remaining part of the respiration chapter. But meanwhile, you people have to solve this question as your homework. Now moving on, in yeast during aerobic respiration, how many glucose molecules are required to produce 38 ATPs? Okay, in yeast, how many number of glucose molecules are required to produce 38 ATPs, right? So we know that from 1 glucose molecule we get 2 ATPs, right? So for 38 ATP, how many glucose molecules we require, right? So it is a cross multiplication question. So 38 divided by 2, we get 19 as our answer. Hence C is your right answer. That is 19. Among the given following, identify the substrate that is used for oxidative reaction: 3-phosphoglyceric acid, glyceraldehyde, 3-phosphate, fructose 6-phosphate, glucose 6-phosphate, right? For the oxidative reaction, which of the following is a substrate? The answer is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which is used for generation of NAD+, that is it is oxidized and it is reduced to NADH2. So the answer is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. The next one. Energy that is required by the living organisms is obtained by oxidation, reduction, metabolism, all of the above. Energy is always obtained in the form of by the oxidation process. So hence A is the right answer over here. The release of energy by breaking carbon-carbon bonds of the various organic molecules to release the energy is called as oxidation, respiration, combustion, photorespiration. The answer is respiration, cellular respiration. In glycolysis, 2 molecules of ATP are generated, 2 ATP are consumed, NADH is formed, sorry, not gormed, it is formed, and ATP is formed through the substrate level phosphorylation. Which of the statement is actually true? True. Okay, so we can say that 2 ATPs are actually formed, that is the net ATP formed is 2 only, hence it is true. 2 ATPs are consumed in the initial part of the reaction, yes, it is true. 1 NADPH is formed, no, actually we get 2 NADH, hence the third statement is wrong. Fourth statement is ATP is formed through substrate level phosphorylation, it is true. Hence we can say that C, that is 1, 2 and 4 statements are actually true, hence the C is our right option. Now, in the plants, glycolysis, for glycolysis, sucrose is converted into fructose only, glucose and galactose, glucose and fructose. It is glucose and fructose, right? Next, the ATP potential of each NADH. We have discussed this, right? One single molecule of NADH can give us 3 ATP. So hence we can say that A is 3, B is 2, C is 1, D is 5. So the right answer over here is A, that is 3 ATP. Now next, in which step of ATP is consumed? The conversion of fructose to glucose, glucose to glucose 6-phosphate conversion, glucose 6-phosphate to fructose 6-phosphate conversion, phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate, right? In the D option, the ATP is actually produced, right? And glucose 6-phosphate to fructose 6-phosphate, no, this is not the right answer. But whereas glucose to glucose 6-phosphate, yes, as we have discussed, this is the first step of the reaction where ATP is invested, hence we can say B is the right answer. Which of the following, next, so let's look into the next question. Which of the following is an ATP yielding in glycolysis? Pyruvate to phosphoenol pyruvate, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate to 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate, and glucose to to glucose 6-phosphate, none of the above. So ATP yielding, which means that ATP should be formed, hence a pyruvate to phosphoenol pyruvate. The answer for this is none of the above. As you can see, from phosphoenol pyruvate we get pyruvate, but pyruvate to phosphoenol pyruvate, it is not an energy yielding process. Hence the answer is none of the above. Right? Now, the next question we are having is 17th over here. The enzyme pyruvic acid decarboxylase and alcohol dehydrogenase is used in the conversion of pyruvic acid to carbon dioxide and ethanol, carbon dioxide and water, carbon dioxide and methanol, carbon dioxide and acetic acid. We know it is mainly for alcohol fermentation, hence A is the right answer, carbon dioxide and ethanol. Yeast can poison themselves if the concentration of ethanol crosses 20%, 25%, 13% or 10%. The answer is 13%. Glycolysis is a dash steps reaction. How many steps? We have discussed it is a 10-step reaction, hence A is the right answer. A is the right answer. Now, in plants, exchange of gases is no big challenge because they have respiratory organs. The leaves can consume huge amount of gases. The cells in the stems have intercellular spaces, and interior part of the plant can take care of exchange of gases. No, this is not true. And the cells of the stem have intercellular spaces. Yes, it is true. And the leaves have huge amount of can consume huge amount of gases. It cannot be true. And they have respiratory organs. No, there are no dedicated structures for respiration in the case of plant. Hence, C is the only right answer over here. The first organisms were aerobes, anaerobes, simple breathers, none of the above. They are anaerobes. Right? B is the right answer. Glycolysis occurs in mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, cytoplasm, chloroplast. The answer is mainly the cytoplasm. Hence, C is our right answer. Right? So, in the next part of the video or next part of the class, we will be mainly concentrating on the electron transport chain and the Krebs cycle. We will also look into the amphibolic pathway and respiratory quotient, and we will finally complete the chapter. And we will also again discuss some questions from that particular part. Right? So, till then, you people can solve more and more questions, and we'll meet in the next video. Thank you.